Okay. So the nature has given us a lot of resources, and these resources have been overexploited due to various so-called anthropocentric activities or developmental activities that results in deterioration of the environment, which in turn makes our life miserable today, starting from health, hygiene, food security and whatnot. Take the major three resources like atmospheric air, water and soil. So these abiotic factors, and these abiotic factors are very badly deteriorated today, and there is a need for us to remediate this environment. Why? Because of our own survival. If you want to survive, if you want to need good water, you have to prevent the pollution or you have to recycle it. Similarly, soil. Soil contains all the necessary elements for the growth. It gives everything for us, but today the soil qualities are also deteriorated due to various activities. We know very well. Similarly, atmospheric air due to atmospheric pollution. So there is a need for us to remediate. So this has been done by biological organisms, biomaterials. So we call it bioremediation. So environmental bioremediation is the use of microorganisms to destroy or immobilize waste materials. Not necessarily only microorganisms, but we can also use other living organisms, plants. Of course, in agriculture, we also use biological control, where we use living animals in terms of insects to kill other insects which are predator or pests on the agriculture, on paddy field or any other source. So biological control on one side, on the other side bioremediation using microorganisms or plants. This is one simple example I showed you of the Gulf War. We know what happened in the sea in and around Gulf, oil pollution. It killed a lot of birds as well as planktonic forms, fishes. All our resources are completely damaged due to oil pollution, and people were working on that, how to contain the oil pollution. There are different methods used. One, the well-known method is using oil degrading bacteria. So these oil degrading bacteria feeds on the oil, takes up the carbon and break down the material, and thus it makes non-toxic. So this is one example just to show how oil-eating microbes can be used or exploited to reduce the oil pollution. At the same time, we have to be very careful when you use it, because by accident, if such bacteria or microbes enter into the oil field, what will be the result? So therefore, we have to see both pros and cons, where to be used, where should not be used, what are the precautions we have to take. All these things to be taken into consideration when you think of bioremediation. So microorganism, maybe fungus or bacteria, which could be used in different ways in order to contain or to remediate, to reduce the toxicity of soil. So there are technically we have anaerobic, aerobic bacteria, where anaerobic bacteria use the oxygen or free oxygen, whatever, depending upon the type of bacteria, anaerobic, aerobic, and they, through the metabolic activity, they reduce or break down the organic material, toxic to non-toxic. There's a degradation pathway which has to be studied, and based on the study, we have to select which group of microorganisms will be suitable for what type of degradation or decontamination or reduction of the toxic material in a particular system. So what is bioremediation mechanism? So microorganisms destroy organic contaminants in the course of using the chemicals for their own growth and reproduction. So they eats away the organic material. As they eats away the organic material, they break down the bonds and reduce the toxicity, and this pathway goes down till go to the level of non-toxicity. But sometimes it may have synergistic effect also. That's also possible. So therefore we have to study and understand the pathway, and we have to use prudently the type of organism to be used for bioremediation. So organic chemical provides carbon source of cell building material, electron sources of energy, because you know the reduction and oxidation reaction in chemistry, and this reaction also involves the bioremediation. Cell catalyzed oxidation of organic chemicals, electron donors, causing transfer of electrons from organic chemicals to some electron acceptors. So these are some of the ways by which we can make use of, or we can use bioremediation method very effectively. In electron acceptors, in aerobic oxidation, acceptor is oxygen. In anaerobic acceptor, with a decreased efficiency, we have a number of materials useful: nitrate, manganese, iron, sulfate. Microorganisms also need essential nutrients such as nitrogen and phosphorus. Therefore, by using the specific microorganism which can make use of the nitrogen phosphate, and thus they metabolize and then reduce the toxicity. So it is also the growth. For growth, we need nutrients. Therefore, the bacteria grows. So present soil contains 100 to 1000 aerobic bacteria per gram of soil. Increases to 105 within 1 week if carbon source is introduced. In case if they don't contain bacteria in the soil, that means the soil quality is very bad. So therefore, in natural condition, we have umpteen number of microorganisms: nitrogen bacteria, sulfur bacteria. You know, most of the antibiotics are produced from the bacteria which are found in the soil. Take anything, garamycin, tetracycline, all these are from the soil bacteria. Therefore, the richness of the soil should be maintained through the effective usage of microorganisms so that even the plant can grow properly. So limitation to biodegradation, adequate bacterial concentration. We need what you call a tighter value, optimal level. We should have that particular. See, when you take medicine for any sickness, no, we prescribe 500 mg, 250 mg, depending upon the age and the quality. So therefore, depending upon that, we have to see the bacterial, the concentration and the characteristic of electron acceptors, nutrients present, nitrogen, phosphorus, the non-toxic conditions. So by providing minimum carbon source, it may exceed regulatory limits of toxic chemicals, and the rapid growth may be limited by diffusive or adjunctive transport of any other above method. So therefore, until and otherwise you provide in optimum condition, the normal impact will not be seen. Therefore, if you want to have effective bioremediation, you have to provide optimum condition. And we know very well the enzymes. they function at the optimal level only, temperature. If it goes above the normal temperature, enzyme will not function, denaturation takes place. Therefore, we have to find out the optimum condition, provide the optimum condition and maximize the impact of the microorganism, the decontamination or bioremediation of the different sources. There are different methods. The composting method is very, very old. Traditional method, what we are using it by composting solid waste. But today we talk about vermitechnology, vermiculture. You know that, no? Vermiculture is nothing but composting. When we are doing composting, we never intentionally put any earthworm there. We dump the organic material over a period of time. It converted, biodegraded as a manure, and then we were using it. Now we understood the technology, the type of earthworm which will play a major role, and now we call it vermitechnology, and specifically we use certain species of earthworm to degrade. So that is the traditional method. Of course, we have to provide moisture and nutrients for the earthworm because they feed the organic material. They excrete vermicast, which form highly nutritive material. Then biopiles, ex-situ, aeration soil, in-situ. So these are all some of the techniques what we use. And land treatment application for organic material to natural soil followed by irrigation and tilling. So these are some of the examples just to show the scientific technique where how it involves, how they absorbent of salts, eliminating basically the sodium, calcium, all this, and also formation of organic acid, and they are eliminated. So this is bioremediation of metal, contaminated environment. The whatever excess sent to the water media, either they are sedimented or they are absorbed by the certain species of plants. There are certain species of plants which can absorb the heavy metals. For example, chromium. There are aquatic plants like hydrilla which can absorb certain heavy metals. So by using certain plant species, you can or you can utilize or you can reduce the toxicity because they absorb the heavy metals. And then you have to develop a technique how to harvest or separate the heavy metals from the plant. So this is the place where we have to use right technology to remove the contaminant from the plant. So these are the different, of course, the metabolic changes, how it takes place in the body, the different microorganisms, including cytochrome B450, and what are the conditions, production of biosurfactants, and what are the bacteria which are used, like Pseudomonas aerogenesis. So Pseudomonas aerogenesis is one of the species which is very effective in oil degradation. So there are two mechanisms, one bioabsorption mechanism where from cell surface, extracellular surface, how they are able to absorb the nutrients, how they store it, how they eliminate it, and these things can be easily seen in the plant species, especially higher plants, what we call the phytoremediation. So phytoremediation word actually from the Latin restoring balance. So phytoremediation consists of mitigating pollutant concentrations in the contaminated soil, water or air with the plants able to contain, degrade or eliminate metals, pesticides, solvents, explosives, crude oil and derivatives and various other contaminants from the media that contain them. The process of removing contamination from soil or water using plants. So this is one of the basic things how we can make use of the plants to reduce the toxicity of the atmospheric air or the water or soil. The accumulator plants have a facility to concentrate metal from the soil and that contain low as well as high concentration of metals. So slowly they absorb the heavy metals in the body and then they also eliminate through vaporization. We can see later. So plants that show exceptional uptake of metals are known as hyperaccumulators. So phytoremediation is a form of bioremediation and applies to all chemical, physical processes that involve plants for degrading or immobilizing contaminants in soil and groundwater. Either they may absorb and eliminate it or they may accumulate their bodies. While the technology is not new, current trends suggest its popularity is growing. The following list of 6 different types of phytoremediation with the explanation describing how they work out in the natural system. 1. Phytosequestration is also called phytostabilization. Many different processes fall under this category, which can involve absorption by roots, absorption by surface of roots, or the production of the biochemicals by the plant that are released into the soil or the groundwater with the immediate vicinity of the roots. This is how it works. See how interacts with different biotic and abiotic things in the ecosystem. So they are absorbed, then goes to the upper level, then phytovoltaic, that's the evaporation. Because you know, water evaporation through the stomata is a natural process. So whatever they absorb, it can be removed, or sometimes they may accumulate in their body also. So rhizodegradation is by plant roots. So enzymatic and microactives are responsible for the enhanced remediation in rhizophonic zones of the root system. The root system also plays. In the earlier condition, roots absorb, but they have never retained it. But they send it to the surface, then eliminate it. Then phytohydraulics, use of deep-rooted plants contain, sequester or degrade groundwater contaminants that come into contact with their roots. In one example of this popular tree were used in contained groundwater plume of methyl tetrabutyl ether. So these are some of the references I given because root of plants can also absorb, especially tree types. So this is a phytohydraulics system. The controls the migration of surface water to the rapid uptake of large volume of water. It goes down, then its absorption takes place. It never mixes with the subsoil water. Then phytoextraction is also known as phytoaccumulation because it accumulates in the plant tissue. So plants take up or hyperaccumulate contaminant through their roots and store them in their tissues of the stem or leaves. These contaminants are not necessarily degraded but are removed from the environment when the plants are harvested. You can see the nitrogen bacteria in the nodules. So this is particularly useful for removing metals from soil, and in some cases the metals can be recovered for reuse by incinerating the plants in a process called phytomining. So these are some of the things we have to be done very carefully in order to harvest the heavy metal which are absorbed, because sometimes the fumes may be it may be causes some other diseases also by inhalation. So we have to develop techniques for effective and safety disposal. just diagram just to show how this could be carried out. So phytovolatilization, plants take up volatile compounds which can evaporate very easily through the root and transfer the same compound or their metabolites through the leaves, thereby releasing them into the atmosphere. So phytodegradation is a breaking down the plant tissue where they are metabolized or biotransformed. So the toxic become non-toxic by degradation. So we know what we call the degradation pathway. By understanding the degradation pathway, we use different species based on our experience and experimental. Now, questions and concern today. The disposal of the contaminated vegetation has not yet been resolved. We have seen the plants are absorbing the heavy metals, other chemicals. But what is the technique we use for safety disposal? Is it possible for us to harvest the heavy metals? So therefore safety is our concern, has to be resolved. Then the soil or groundwater contamination, the single heavy metal is rare, but mostly multi-pollutant removal need to be a goal of phytoremediation. See, nowadays the effluents contain not a single metal but different type of metals. Therefore we should have a technique, a process which can absorb all the unwanted metals, not necessarily only one. If only one is absorbed, what happens to the remaining metals? So that also, as you see, is a multi-pollutant removal. Then if plants are introduced to an area in order to carry out the phytoremediation, the potential disruption of local ecosystem needs to be addressed. So if you want to introduce a species without knowing its impact on the other species that are living, we call it native species. And you know very well, some of the fishes which are introduced, which eaten away the native species today. We have a number of examples. And therefore, when you introduce an alien species, which may be of interest for us for degradation, we have to study its impact on a long run basis, and then we should venture into such programs. So, are we exploiting the nature? Now the question is, why you want to go for remediation? Why? What's the necessity? Because the natural material what we have in the form of soil, water are contaminated, polluted beyond our, or it's not readily available for our consumption because of pollution. And therefore we are already polluted or exploited from natural resources. Therefore, what we are doing in bioremediation is against the natural process. As long as it is going on, no problem. But now we plan to introduce the alien species, a new species, and we want to understand how it can be removed from the natural ecosystem. So that is one of the important questions, causing health and hygiene problem, which are all because of man-made disaster, using excessive pesticide, synthetic chemicals, manures, all these are common. Then the present generation snatching away the nature's gift, what is due to the future generation because of our selfish greediness. See, the natural ecosystem or nature provides everything what we need today, but not to the greediness of human being today. So we should not create a condition where our future generation should not ask us, what is the elephant, how it looks like. So at that time, still we should be able to show the elephant rather than showing a picture. So therefore, we should be very conscious of what is going on today by deteriorating our environment, depletion of the biodiversity, and we are losing our bio resources. And therefore, we have to consciously protect our bio resources, not only for our use, immediate use today, but also for posterity, for the future generation. So do we have any moral right to overexploit the nature? Even though human beings are of the top evolutionary tree, what are the limitations and who fixes the limit? We have seen the Bible or any religion, no? From the protection to the stewardship. In Bible, God created and the last day given the entire thing to him to enjoy, make use of all the material whatever present in the earth. But at the same time, we have the responsibility. Make use of the responsibility to make use of the natural resources, so that what is available today should be available today, not only today, even tomorrow. So all religion says everything was created for the welfare of human being. If it is so, what is the role of man in the protection of biodiversity and the nature? So biodiversity and bioresources are interrelated. You cannot separate. We depend upon the bioresource. Bioresource are from the biodiversity. Take any example, rice variety or wheat, anything for that matter. All this provides support to human being. How survive biodiversity will derive the form of bioresources. We also have the responsibility to protect the environment and the nature, and we have to play a role of custodian of the same. Can the sustainable development may be the solution for the latest crisis of environment related or depletion of biodiversity, degradation, and the quality of our environment due to environmental pollution, global warming, climate change, and other associated impacts? And finally, what are the possible solutions? So these are some of the ethical issues we have to discuss when you think of remediation of the environment. And it is not possible by a single individual, it's a collective responsibility. Each one should be able to contribute in his own way to protect the environment, to make use of the bioresources sparingly so that it is available not only today and tomorrow also. And therefore what we say, primarily environmental education is the only source or only thing. So to put everything in a nutshell, education is the only solution to eliminate the poverty. When you remove the poverty, then everything is available. You can have happy life, well-being, everything will be guaranteed. And therefore we have to emphasize environmental education as a part of our curriculum, not only to the lower class, up to the tertiary or higher education. Even engineering students who are doing MBBS and medicine, both higher level, tertiary level, engineering as well as the medical students, should take one paper on environmental education. It's compulsory, they have to pass. So that is the way now we are doing it, promoting environmental education, value system in day-to-day practice in their life system. Thus, probably, if not immediately, over a period of time, we may be able to transform consciousness and responsibility in the minds of people so that the environment will be protected, so that whatever we enjoy today may be enjoyed by the future generation also. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you go back to your previous slide, please? Ethical issues. Okay, so now it's time for a test exam. I'll get the papers start soon for the course. Is that okay? So the ethical issues. Yeah, so thank you very much for, I think, some of these ethical issues. And it's interesting because it reminded me of the question of bioremediation, reminded me of the beaver picture we saw this morning from John Weckett. Professor Weckett showed us what is natural, the beaver's manipulation of nature, making a dam, or human manipulation. So in the same way, bioremediation, nature can remediate things on its own steam, on its own manner, though we can assist it in some cases when things we don't like, a compound. So to what degree is it natural to plant trees for bioremediation of, for example, polluted areas in India from a tanning industry?
Now we suggest native species. Most of the native species are very effective because they are the one which grows normally in that area. You cannot forget the soil type, the geographical conditions, whether high altitude or plains. Therefore, we have to promote developing greenery with the help of native species rather than introducing alien species, because we do not know what type of impact it will going to cause when you introduce new species from outside. Therefore, we recommend always through our forest department for the greenery development, tree plantation, native species. It is applicable not only plant, even for fishes.
Okay, John, you have a question?
Well, this is not an ethical question, it's a technical one, I guess. When you were talking about plants taking up all these nasty things in the soil, one of the slides, in one place you said that they don't necessarily break it down, that it's still in the plant, but then another time you said, well, it gets taken away then when the plant's harvested. Now, a couple of things there. If a plant's harvested for food, are those things that have accumulated in the leaves or in the fruit or whatever likely to be detrimental to people? If it's a tree, what happens, when the leaves fall, if they've accumulated all this stuff, does that go back into the soil? I guess in some ways you answered this in your, I think it was your second last slide, when you said there were problems to do with how you dispose of the plants. But is that the problem you were talking about in the disposal? And what does happen, if you eat the plant that's actually accumulated these things?
Since for some of the aquatic plants, we have seen already how these plants are able to absorb certain heavy metals, and especially the tannery belt, like to tell you some other place like Ambur, Vanimadi, they are all very, very important places where tannery is very important. Chromium, for example. You can see the yellow color in the water. If you take a cross section of the soil, because of the effluent which are discharged, you can see the yellow color. And you can see the coloration of yellow color, even the root system when it is transparent. So they are able to absorb. We use the atomic absorption spectrophotometer and found out how much percent we have done it. But how far the plant can tolerate, how long it can grow, and then what's the disposal method. So we need, we easily say that you can just burn it, make it a ash, use it as a manure, all these things can be done. But how effective it will be, what sort of impact it will be on the soil after disposal or to the plant if we use it as a manure, these are the areas where we have to work it on. So this needs intensive research from the baseline so that we may be able to come to a certain conclusion saying that, okay, if this limit is more, it is dangerous, therefore see that it is not exceeding that. So therefore we have to develop a baseline data for the future. And we now only realizing all these things, earlier we don't know the impact. So as and when our knowledge grows, now the development of technology increases, then we have to find out and go for appropriate technology and methodology.
Thank you. So I think they're choosing the method of asking a question instead of answering the exam. Okay. Nazneen next. So if everyone asks a question, then you don't need to do the exam.
One of the easiest way.
Thank you, Professor. In the afternoon time, it is quite heavy type of lecture because it's so much of science into it. And it reminds me like when I was a medical student and when I was in microbiology and all these kind of classes, and reading through all the microbiology, the microorganisms, it seems to me, I'm looking those under a microscope, it seems to me something creepy on my body. so that kind of feelings is still there when I go to the microbiology or the biotechnology matters. But still coming to the fact, it is really a very, very interesting lecture. I was just wondering because I could pick up important aspects, but sometimes I get a little confused. I really want to remove my confusion around the lecture. So, giving one example of my understanding that around the ecology, the interdependency, I forgot about the biotic. Just coming to the very fact of the ecology, from the ground to the underground to the ground level and above, surface level. So there is a kind of interdependence, I remember still, that there is a food wave. So the interdependence as such like the plants when they go for the sun ray and then they create phytocarbon and then the carbon has been even released to the water and then some of the water, the plants, they live on that and they also excrete oxygen. So the oxygen is been, and in the environment the carbon has been sometimes the ocean, the water and aquatic plants they take the carbon. And then also when the plants also give some kind of this microorganism excreta. The microorganism live on that. And then the microorganism up at that level, the arthropods and all this live on the microorganism. Scavengers. And then the arthropod, heterotroph, autotroph kind of pattern and then predators.
Still remember what you said to schools.
Yeah, but it is an interdependency, I know. Now coming to the question of this very interesting science of biotechnology, that the whole keeping the natural science and then the invention of additional industrialization and all this pollution thing. So the nature can absorb some of that. That is the science. So yeah, and if the nature absorbs, the question is how much the nature can absorb, at what level. So this kind of biological remedy of the nature should have a limit, of course, and we have to understand that science very well. So I have one question very particular because you showed up a lot of the process methodology like phytomining, biodegradation, bioremediation, and there are a variety of bioremediation that you mentioned about. So coming to that, I don't really much understand about the electron issue because I know that in the soil the nitrogen has been passed in the soil to this earthworm and all this, and then the nitrogen is important for the air. And there's an aeration takes place in the earth. Yeah, so there's an aeration takes place in the earth. So the totality is interdependency fine. But the question, very specific question one is like when we dump the solid waste. So there's a bioremediation issue is there?
Composting.
And where is the electron? Because I understand the gaseous things, the chemical things and all this, but how the electron forms into this total process? What is the role of electron? Because you mentioned about it and I couldn't understand where the electron
No, it is oxidation reduction. See, for example, degradation process, the bacteria, for example, aerobic bacteria, they take off the oxygen and they survive and they feed. So when they do the regular process, metabolism, they also feed. So by the process of degradation, they split the compound material into complex material to compound, that simpler material, and thus becomes non-toxic. That's how the composting takes place. And condition is it should be wet, there should be enough microorganism, earthworm, all these things should contribute their own weight. Earthworm feed on the organic matter. The microorganism feeds on the other things and then they make use of the oxygen.
So the free electron in the earth and air is...
See, it's a simple chemical reaction, no oxidation reduction thing.
Okay. And that is that plantation, of course, and we know the advantage of plantation, fine, but that means this kind of knowledge, like how much level of the purification of the earth can be managed through the science of the environment and the plantation. That is a very important knowledge to be shared with the people level, even at the community level also, some knowledge, so that people consciousness towards this become ethical issue also. It's not an ethical issue for the professor, teacher or director, manager. It is an ethical issue for the community people as well. We need to communicate that knowledge in that sense. For the environmental purification. It cannot be always high-handed science.
I agree.
It should be communicated.
See, in this regard only we have what we call the environmental impact assessment. So any industrial activity, any new project, you have to get clear to the ministry. So when you go to the ministry will ask a question, or you have to provide information to the ministry, what are the way by which you are going to reduce the atmospheric pollution? When you talk about atmospheric pollution, what will be the nature of the pollution, what are the gases which will be coming, and how this will be dispersion take place. The different models is there, gaseous model, how they are dispersed. If it is dispersed, and how we can reduce the impact by having proper plantation. We call it corridor development, greenery development. What type of greenery plants you are going to have? What will be the width of the greenery? So these are the part of the only the technical aspects. But what you said is how to educate common man. See, you may not be able to reach out. You may not be able to reach out to a common man, but through your children, education, through the children only you can educate. Because that's why we say environmental education. See, if your teacher tells something, even the teacher tells the wrong thing, when you go to the parents will know you are wrong. My teacher told me this. So that is the condition mindset that we have. So that is why we are emphasizing more and more. Environmental education is very, very important. Not only mere classroom teaching. Take them to the field and show the nature.
That's what I am telling. That simplify the knowledge, not it should be
once they know the field, study, then they can translate into activities.
But Professor, thank you very much. But here is the question of the point you mentioned, like ethical issue. Government, okay, when the industry will go for pass on their any of the industrial activity project, they should go to the government and government will ask them about an environmental clarity of the issue. Fine, but don't you think the government is sometimes ministry sold? So their ethical standard issues are there in their mind.
I give one example.
Sometimes
I give one example regarding the tannery effluent treatment. We have. See, tannery effluent treatment is very costly issue.
Yeah, very costly.
That cannot be established by a single individual.
Yes.
So government provided common treatment plant. So different tannery which are nearby, they collect the effluent, treat them, and then release them. For which government give incentives or what you call soft loans to establish. So that's where they are trying. But we also should be more responsible. No, we should not cheat. So what most of the people are doing, when they apply for license, they show all the instrument gases for treatment plant. We know what's the role of pollution control board, how they are functioning. When the reality comes,
that is totally
different.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I can give you another example of my country regarding this tannery issue. You know what happened? Government has made a particular place outside the main city to have this tannery system. But the problem is everything is ready. The problem is the place where the existing tannery is there. Now the people are not interested to go out of the city. And the people surrounding that tannery is involved there. So they are telling that this is a kind of occupation of them. If this tannery is being shifted to outside the main city, then there will be a generalized problem for the poor people. So sometimes it vice versa. Even government has the strong commitment or positive attitude. Sometimes we common people do not give the full support to implement that thing. And the other issue is river erosion, river pollution. Even for the river pollution, government try to take the big steps, but as a common person, maybe I'm not playing my whole responsibility. This we also see specifically for the environmental issues. So
And that's why, Dr. Farida, thank you very much for complimenting. That's why I'm telling that environmental science is a high-handed science. Sometimes, like this classroom, we got a little happy with the knowledge of all these carbon, electron, proton, neutron, all these kind of things. But getting the science to the common people so that they feel also ethically responsible to support is one thing. Another is government has protocol standard, everything for the approval of industries, for minimizing the pollution and whatever. But sometimes, government is either crippled because people try to hide, industrial people, they come up with a very good document, everything is nicely done. So sometimes there are a lot of hiding agenda into it. So it's not that always possible for the ministry or government to regulate everything. It's the common people has a lot more to do in this total process.
What you said is fine. We now RTA, Right for Information Act is there. Through that people are doing it. To tell you very honestly, just last week in Chennai what happened, there is one person who used to apply the RTA against all the real estate owners, building construction, all these things he used to write and get the information and expose them. That fellow was murdered just overnight. Because he was vehemently working for the common man, highlighting the various underground work, he was just overnight finished. If such things happen, who will be responsible? It's very difficult. See, that's why we say, in our institution we have what we call the outreach program. Through outreach program, we reach out to common. We have earlier what we call the lab to land program. Whatever you do in the lab, related to agriculture, fishery, everything, take it to the community so that they will practice it. That's how we are doing it, most of the work we are doing it. Even environmental education, we have outreach program. We adopt few villages. So once in a month, a particular group of students will go, teach them the importance of quality water. Why water quality deteriorated? What is the necessity that we should have good water? And what are the diseases which can be caused by water? We call it waterborne diseases. Through this education, they will be able to understand you drink water only after boiling it. Very simple. We advise only during the cholera time, only other time. Make it mandatory. When the water quality is bad, you try to boil the water, filter it and drink. So this goes to the villages.
So the power of the common man, particularly I remember one of the case story I read through when I was in Japan doing a course about their international leadership development course. So there was a case story which has been thoroughly discussed with us. It was such a fact that Minamata disease. So,
1952.
yeah, so that disease has been, the movement was from the common people who made the king of the country to bow down, to say sorry, and then move a huge industry, steel industry probably at that time. So the people movement, people thinking, people knowledge can make a lot of change. And so
that is true.
Yeah.
On one side you can see the NGOs activities. See, NGOs, in some cases they say they keep it, some cases only they take up. And then these NGOs are also bought by multinationals. There are different stories.
Yeah, different stories.
There are different stories. I think
There
it's
are a lot
not
of vested interest.
vested interest.
Yeah.
Now I tell you, in Kerala, the endosulfan was banned because that was used for the cashew crops. Lot of malformations to children and all, they banned. Now the problem is water. They give water. Water is given to, river water was given to the Coca-Cola company.
Okay.
Now the Coca-Cola is taking water and making Coca-Cola sell it. But this water source from a village where the poor people are living, the marginalized people. Now the other people not able to fight, so in the name of minorities, They're filing a case against the government because government itself given the auction to the Coca-Cola. What happens? So what will you do?
What do we do? Yeah. The solution is not that easy. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excellent discussion.